Hello, my name's Chris Suter. This video is going to demonstrate how to create a Houdini PYRO simulation. I'll be creating the thruster and smoke effects for this SpaceX Starship takeoff. You will require no prior Houdini experience other than basic window navigation and the ability to place nodes. At the end of the video, you should be able to create attributes for simulations, convert point simulations into volumes, and have an idea of the workflow required to simulate smoke and fire. Starting, I have just the Starship and the tower and the stand, and I'll have a basic animation of the ship taking off. And we'll start with the flame, so I'll add a geometry container. We'll name that flame. In there we'll put in a tube. We'll make that a polygon, close the end caps. We'll put the scale to 0.3. So now we're at a transform. And we're going to use this to match the vertical position of the flame to match the rocket. So we're going to go into our rocket and grab the position animation that it uses to take off and copy that into the position of the flame, pace relative reference. And we'll probably just need an offset that just so it stays underneath the rocket. Now we're at our points from volume. Change the point separation to 0.04. The jitter seed we want to put in $F for grab the current frame just to randomize it up a bit as it goes along. And we'll change the jitter scale to 3 and we'll add the scale to the attributes, turn that on. Next we're going to create the attributes, so we use a PYRO source node. We'll change the particle separation to 0.02 and we'll add 4 attributes. First one will be density, second one will be temperature, third one's fuel, and the bottom one's velocity. We want to scale the temperature and we want to scale the velocity to 20 and the direction down on the Y. Next we want to add the pop net. We'll filter pop here on the object, and then inside we need to add gravity. We need to merge in a ground plane, so use merge node. This to the affection relationship to mutual, add a ground plane into there. On the ground plane under physical, we need to change the bounce to 0.1. We can remove this merge, pop force. We'll just leave that at default, this is adding some turbulence. And then for the source we need to change that to points because we're passing in points. And then under the birth tab we'll increase the points to 10,000 and change the life expectancy to 0.2 because they'll be moving fast, we don't need to last very long. Then underneath the attributes tab we're going to add to inherited velocity, put a -5 on the Y variance. And then on the pop solver, just in max substeps, just change this to 10. So next we need to volume rasterize our attributes. We'll just pass in all our attributes here, so density, temperature, fuel and velocity. We'll change the voxel size to 0.05 and then we'll convert it to a VDB. It's just a optimization thing. Set the convert to VDB. And then we'll feed that into our PYRO solver. So in the PYRO solver, we're going to set our voxel size to 0.05. I want to close the Y boundary at the bottom, so anything that goes underneath the ground, we don't simulate that. And then under solving, we'll just set our cooling rate under temperature here to 1. And then under shape, we'll add some turbulence, 0.3. And then under the turbulence tab, we'll just add a swirl of 3 there. And then under sourcing, we'll need to change this burn to fuel, because that's what we called it. And then under solving again, under advanced, just change the max substeps to 3, just to increase the render per frame to compensate for the velocity. So that completes the flame. Now let's create a geometry node for our smoke. And in here we're going to do a similar setup, so we'll create another tube. We'll make the height 0.2. Oh, we'll need to change that to a polygon. Close the end caps. And then we'll just transform that. We want to move it up a little bit, so it's the smoke sort of going down and then up and out. So we're going to put it up 0.2. And I might just scale it up a bit. Oops. Actually, no, that's too big. Let's make it 2. Just like that. And we'll do the same again. We'll do a points from volume. And that will have the same settings. So 0.4 separation, current frame, dollar frame as the jitter seed, scale of 3, and add scale to attribute enabled. And we'll add our PYRO source for the smoke. Similar to last time, we'll change this to 0.4, sorry, 0.2, and we'll only add 3 attributes this time, and it will be density, which we want to scale up by 3, our temperature, and our velocity, and we want to do the same again. The velocity is down by a scale of 20. We can feed that into a pop network. Filter for pop, attributes. And inside we need to do the same again. So we need to add gravity. Add our merge in our ground plane. Sure, and we set the effector relationship to mutual. And again on the ground plane we just want to set the bounce to 1. And we'll replace the pop force in here. But this time we'll add a bit more noise. So we'll add 15 amplitude, reduce the roughness to 0.1. We'll add 10 turbulence. On the pop source, same as before, we want it to be points because we're feeding in points. And under birth, we'll change it to 10,000. And the life, we'll give it a little bit more life this time, 0.5. And then attributes for the inherited velocity, we actually want to put 2 on all directions for this. So it's going to scale the smoke out all directions. On the pop solver, we'll add the max substeps again of 10. Volume, rasterize that again. And we'll feed in the density, temperature, and velocity. And change the voxel size to 0.5. And then we'll convert that to a VDB again. Convert to VDB. And then we'll put that into the PYRO solver. And again, we'll change that voxel size to 0.05. We'll close the bottom because we don't need to simulate underneath the ground. Under solving, this advection reflection, we want to put that to single projected. Under flames, we'll change the lifespan to 4, and we're going to add some temperature here, 30. And then under shape, we're actually going to decrease the dissipation, so the smoke lasts longer here. So put that to 0.01, and then we'll add some disturbance and turbulence. So the disturbance, we want to set that to 1, and the turbulence to 0.05. In the disturbance tab, this cutoff, change this to 0.1, and the block size to 0.1, and the roughness to 0.7. Under turbulence, we'll add a swirl of 3 again, and we'll just change the pulse length to 0.2. Under the look tab, we'll change the density scale to 20, and we'll turn fire emissions off. Under sourcing, we can remove the burn, and we just want to set the temp scale to 30. And we're going to beef up our velocity by a scale of 50 here. Under solving, just go to the advanced tab, and we'll add up step of 3 there because of the velocity increase. Put the flag towards the end, make sure our other flags are all on the end, and we'll preview our rocket takeoff. So that concludes the tutorial. If you're interested in learning more, I highly recommend Boehm's Houdini VFX course at houdini-course.com. There's also hundreds of free tutorials on sideeffects.com. Thanks for watching.